So, Bitcoin's bouncing back, folks, ratcheting up toward $119,000 thanks to a whirlwind of strategic reserve hopes and massive treasury buys. This
Yep,
shift really
exactly.
shows how, even after a pretty hawkish Fed meeting, sentiment can flip in a heartbeat.
Right. So rather than dwelling on rate hikes or potential cuts, the market's all in on this idea of a US strategic Bitcoin reserve, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's like traders and institutional players essentially said, forget the Fed's nerves. Here's a reserve that might just back Bitcoin all the way up to that $119,000 target. And on top of
Indeed.
that, corporate Bitcoin treasuries added nearly 30,000 BTC in just a couple of days.
Wow. That's a huge volume, especially during a period of market uncertainty. It's like institutional investors are doing a power move while retail traders might be on the sidelines.
Right on. These treasury buys are a signal, almost like we're serious here. And they're at levels where net buying hit 97% of all transactions. That's reminiscent of back in August 2020, if you can believe
Yep,
it.
it's impressive. And what really caught my eye was that even after a Fed meeting where Powell steered clear of hints about any rate cuts, like he even brushed off political pressure, Bitcoin's price didn't just stall, it rallied. How do you see that playing out?
That's the fascinating part, really. It's as if once the buzz about the strategic reserve kicked in, especially after Robert Bowe Hines mentioned the White House plans, the market flipped its focus entirely. Powell's press statement about solid labor markets and low unemployment couldn't scare these buyers off.
Exactly. So, essentially, the market's turning away from the short term macro concerns and eyeing a long term structural change in Bitcoin's role. Do you think that's a sustainable shift?
Well, it's a bit of a double edged sword, isn't it? On one hand, the promise of a strategic reserve stokes major institutional belief in Bitcoin's potential. It's like building a fortress
Right,
around its
that's a strong
value.
analogy.
But on the other, the volatility is still very much here, and unexpected Fed moves could still jolt the market.
That makes sense. I mean, the market played through a $500 million liquidation event in the cross crypto space recently. So the risk is real. But it feels like the narrative from the reserve and treasury buys is dominating right now, correct?
Exactly, and it's almost like institutional traders are recalibrating how they view Bitcoin, not just as a volatile speculative asset, but perhaps as a bona fide policy-backed component of their portfolios.
Absolutely. And what about the broader implications? I mean, if we see more of these large scale treasury buys and perhaps even an official strategic reserve, could this fundamentally shift the landscape for digital assets?
That's a really interesting thought. It's like watching a high stakes game where every move by institutional players reshapes the field. If the reserve becomes a reality, it could enhance Bitcoin's status as a legitimate asset class in a way that might even influence traditional markets.
Yeah, that's a powerful shift indeed. Yet, isn't there a bit of a critique here? I mean, some analysts argue that with such concentrated net buying, the market might be dangerously over leveraged on bullish sentiment. Could this backfire if macroeconomic conditions worsen?
That's a valid challenge. It risks creating a situation where the euphoria outpaces the fundamentals. But at this juncture, the strategic reserve narrative is providing, a strong counterbalance to typical rate concerns. Still, it's a fine line to walk. If things turn sour globally, that institutional sentiment might not hold up.
Yeah, fair point. And let's not forget the impact of these treasury buys themselves. The data shows that institutional net buying just soared to levels unseen for a while. It seems like a clear endorsement of Bitcoin's long term value.
Absolutely, it sends a message that these savvy players are not just hedging bets, they're investing in an asset they believe in. It's like they're locking in confidence with every BTC they buy, even amidst traditional economic headwinds.
Definitely. So, as Bitcoin moves toward that $119,000 target, the underlying drivers appear to be strategic optimism, large scale treasury moves, and a growing belief that institutional backing could stabilize things in the long run, even if the macro headlines are a bit muddy.
Precisely. It's a fascinating convergence. Policy signals that might normally dampen market enthusiasm are being overshadowed by an institutional power play that's, well, fueling a remarkable
Yeah,
rebound.
that's definitely a twist in the tail. To sum up, Bitcoin's current rally is not just a rebound from Fed jitters, but a strategic pivot where long-term institutional moves, and notably the strategic reserve ambitions, are redefining its trajectory.
Right. It's a vivid reminder that in the crypto world, narratives can pivot quicker than you'd expect. Today, it's the US Strategic Reserve and those massive treasury buys steering the ship, while tomorrow, who knows what could shift the balance.
Absolutely. Well, it's an exciting time to be watching crypto. The blend of policy, institutional strategy, and market dynamics makes every move feel like a high-stakes gamble.
Indeed, and we'll keep an eye on how these factors interact as Bitcoin chases its next big milestone. Thanks for the engaging chat. Catch you next time as things continue to unfold in this thrilling crypto landscape.
Yep, see you then.